Hey, everybody, are you ready to get started? Let's go ahead and open up the doors. Hello, hello. Welcome to Daily with Doc. It is Pharmacist Friday, and my name is Becca Dukes. As the hostess of this program, I am excited to be able to present to the world some things that they may not have ever heard of, may not know, but are things that are on their mind because they may be, what's the word? I don't want to say affected, infected, something that might be, of concern. There we go, of concern. And a lot of that has to do with our health. So with our health, we have so many different things coming at us and what we can do to take care of it or mask it or just, you know, reduce the effects of things. Well, when you're looking at the body as a whole, which we like to do, there's a lot of things that we can do all on our own. And that's what this program is all about. And one thing that I love about Fridays is not only do we bring in a naturopathic aspect to looking at health, but we're also going to bring in the pharmaceutical side of it. And today we have with us pharmacist Ben Fuchs, who has been in the industry a long time when it comes to pharmaceuticals, and he found that he also had an interest in the natural side of things and addressing things with vitamins and minerals, you know, those kind of nutrients, and how they interact with the body is one of the things that they taught in pharmacy school. So I hope you guys are all ready to learn, because there are, hold on a minute, confirm your speech language, Spanish. Who's pushing buttons here, buddies? Yeah, no, I have to make sure that I'm speaking English and save. Okay, AJ. I don't know what's going on, but hey, let's keep flying the plane. So folks, if you are invited to this program by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them and thank them for taking the time to share and allow them to be able to have more information as ammunition in your toolbox or resources in your toolbox. So, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, thank you so much for taking Friday to be here with us. I know that you've got a lot of things going on, so you're looking awful sharp today, mister.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I
Well,
dressed up for you.
I appreciate that. I dressed up for you too.
Thank you. Well, you always look beautiful. Sometimes I'm a little rough around the edges, but today I decided to dress up. Thank you, Rebecca. And thank you, everybody, for being here. So
Yes.
we're going to talk about my favorite supplement in the world, but then I got this really cool or interesting text from a gal that I thought, you know, it would be appropriate to read. I told her I was going to read it and talk on the Daily with Doc show. I don't know if the gal's on the call here. And then I also want to talk about this. Can you read that?
Virus of the mind.
Viruses of the mind. Yes.
Sounds interesting.
The new science of the meme. So I want to talk about that as well. Let me see which one I'll talk about first. Let's talk about memes first. You know, these days when you hear memes, you think of like funny cartoons and images on the internet. But that's really a corruption of the word meme. It's a colloquialism. It's not that's not how the word meme originally started its existence. The word meme started out as a term for a shortened version of memory, the way gene is a shortened version of genetics. So memetics is to memory what genetics is to genes. And just like a gene is a unit of genetics, a meme is a unit of memetics or memory. This was a term that was coined by a guy named Richard Dawkins, who is a famous scientist, evolutionary biologist, who wrote a book called The Selfish Gene. And in the book, he talked about units of memory as information that is passed through the culture and passed through the culture in a way that allows it to replicate. So the classic example of a meme is an advertising jingle. Now, you probably remember, Rebecca, and I'm going to talk to you because I can't talk to anybody else here, so I'm trying to talk to you. You probably remember jingles from when you were a kid, right? Don't you remember advertising jingles when you were a kid? Like, give me one that you remember.
Oh, goodness, you put me on the spot.
Do you remember McDonald's is your kind of place?
I was trying to think. Okay,
yeah, McDonald's is classic for creating memetic or memorable jingles. So do you have one?
Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Snap, Crackle, Pop is a classic one. Absolutely.
Starting in the morning.
I'm sure everybody has their own version of a memetic memory that passes on. And the reason these memes pass themselves through the culture, or these memes exist, is strictly to replicate. That's their goal in life, is to replicate. Just like the goal of a gene is to replicate, or the goal of genetics is to replicate. The goal of the genetic chunks of information that we call viruses is to replicate. And this idea of replication is very important, because when a gene or a virus or a meme replicates, because its goal is to replicate, it does not care about what's called the vector. The vector is what it's replicating through. In the case of a virus is replicating through organisms. In the case of a computer virus, the virus is replicating through your hard drive. In the case of genetics, the genes are replicating through human beings. And in the case of memetics, the meme, the memory, the chunk of memory is replicating through the culture. It does not care about its impact on the culture. So McDonald's doesn't care that their meme that they've injected into the culture is killing people. All they care about is that you sing their happy song, and that when you drive by the Golden Arches, you drive through. And this is the insidious nature of memes, of viruses, and of genes. They don't care about how they spread. They just care that they do spread. They don't care about the impact on the spreaders, that is the vectors. They just care that they spread. And this is especially important when it comes to information, memes, memetics, because a meme that spreads, and whose only goal is spreads, that is harmful to the culture or the individuals that make up the culture, kill people, make people sick, make people spend all their money, make people suffer, reduce quality of life. For example, everybody knows, here's a classic example of a meme. The health business is filled with memes. Politics is filled with memes. Advertising, as I said earlier, is filled with memes, and the health business is filled with memes. I personally, as a healthcare professional, find memes or memetics that spread via health or via our understanding of health especially dangerous and insidious, because they cause us to do crazy things. For example, you go to the doctor with a pain in your gallbladder, and of course everybody knows that you have your gallbladder taken out. That's a meme. If you say I'm sick and I'm going to the doctor to get an antibiotic, that's another meme. If you say I have really dry skin and I'm going to go use a moisturizer, that's another meme. In other words, we do things not because they make sense to do things. We do things because the meme or the piece of information has spread itself out through the culture. Just like we know McDonald's isn't good for us, but we've been infected by a meme, so we eat the hamburgers. Or we know Snickers bars aren't good for us, but we've been infected by the meme, so we get the Snickers bar. We know that prescription drugs can be problematic, but the meme is that we do whatever the doctor tells us, and the doctor gives us prescription drugs, so we do it. In other words, these memes that spread through the culture act like viruses, except viruses of the mind. They spread through the culture, oblivious to the vectors. Their only goal is to perpetuate themselves. So in the healthcare business, one of the memes is that if you have a health problem, you go to the doctor. It doesn't matter that doctors are not equipped to deal with most health problems. Say that again. Doctors do not have the skills to deal with most health problems. Doctoring is about emergencies. It's about heroics. It's about stitching your bones. And this is originally what doctoring is about. But because nature abhors a vacuum, by our abdication of our own personal health, as a culture, not present company excluded, there's a vacuum that doctors in the medical model have come in to fill. So now we go to the doctor, we interact with the medical model when we have diseases like diabetes, oblivious to the fact that there are no medical tools for dealing with diabetes. And diabetes is an eating disorder, a lifestyle disorder. We have much more power over controlling diabetes, which is, if you factor in cancer and heart disease, the leading cause of death. And I shouldn't even say diabetes, I'll say dysglycemia, which means messed up blood sugar. It doesn't matter that the doctor doesn't have the tools and that we have the tools, but because we've been infected by a meme, you got blood sugar problems, you go to the doctor. Likewise with digestive health issues. It doesn't matter that you can't go, that the doctor doesn't have any tools to deal with ulcerative colitis or with irritable bowel syndrome or Crohn's disease. It doesn't matter that Crohn's disease and irritable bowel syndrome and celiac and ulcerative colitis are lifestyle issues that we can take care of by the from the comfort of our own kitchens. Because we've been infected by a meme, we say, oh, I've got a digestive problem, I'm going to go to the doctor. And this continues on, and it continues on to the ultimate negative effect of our health, negative effects on our health that show up as 4 out of 6, or actually 4 out of 10 Americans having at least one, or 6 out of 10 Americans having at least one autoimmune disease, 4 out of 10 Americans having at least 2. And 2 out of 10 Americans have 5 diseases, 5 chronic, I think I said autoimmune, I mean chronic degenerative diseases. Can you imagine this? 2 out of 10 Americans have at least 5 chronic degenerative diseases. And that's despite the fact that we got more healthcare professionals taking care of us than ever before, more drugs, more devices, more hospitals. Clearly, the meme that says we interact with the medical model when we have a health problem doesn't work. It spreads perfectly, it perpetuates itself virally, and it's perpetuated itself so successfully that everybody does it. It doesn't matter, because we've been affected, that the health model, the modern medical model that we deal with can't help us. The classic example, or a classic example, is a text that I received of this idea of us being infected by the memes and going to interact with the medical model when they can't do anything, is exemplified by a text that I received that was shocking to me. And I talked to the gal, I talked to the gal's friend a couple days ago, and I told her to get on this call because I was going to address it because it was so shocking and so important, I thought. So this is the text. Hello, my name is Christy, and I have a friend with scleroderma. We'll talk about that here in a second. That's affecting her organs. Doctors don't know what causes it. So I was wondering if you could explain it and give us a game plan that could help, since they told her it would only progress and there is no treatment. Okay? Why would you go to a doctor who tells you it can only progress and there is no treatment unless you've been infected virally by a meme? She is 5'6", 240 pounds. Problem right there, right? She has a collarbone. Oh, by the way, this gal is 38 years old. She has 5'6", 240 pounds, has a collarbone plate, had a hysterectomy, had a tubal, had a gallbladder taken out, had carpal tunnel syndrome, had 3 C-sections, and a gastric sleeve done. So this is a woman who has interacted with the medical model to the degree that she's not even a whole person any longer. She's missing key organs. She's got devices and sleeves and all kinds of stuff in her body, and she still goes to the doctor. This is the insidious and powerful nature of these viral infections, these memetic viral infections, these mind viral infections. Now, it turns out that scleroderma is an autoimmune disease. And as everybody on this call knows, if they've heard me speak on Daily with Doc on Fridays, autoimmune diseases are the end result of toxicity in the blood. All immune diseases, with the exception of, I should say all chronic immune diseases, as opposed to acute immune diseases like a cold or a viral infection or something like that, all chronic immune activation or immune diseases involve something that is in the blood and chronically in the blood. This is not, I'm not being scientific here. I'm not being medical. I'm just being logical. In order for the immune system to be activated chronically, something has to be getting into the blood. All autoimmune diseases, including scleroderma, which is an especially nasty autoimmune disease, by the way, where you have fibers that develop, fibrosis that develops in various organs of the body and in the skin. All autoimmune diseases are the end result of immune activation from toxicity that's chronically entering into the blood. So the question is, how did toxicity get into the blood? That's the only question we want to answer if we're going to address an autoimmune disease, whether it's multiple sclerosis or whether it's scleroderma or whether it's rheumatoid arthritis or whether it's lupus or type 1 diabetes. There's over 100, maybe even close to 200 autoimmune diseases that affect 40 million Americans. So this is a very, very important question. Anybody who has an autoimmune disease knows that it's absolutely miserable. Your immune system is chronically activated and it attacks the body. You can only imagine how miserable this condition is. So there's nothing the doctor can do about it, but memetically, we go to the doctor because we don't know what else to do, and we've been infected by a virus. But if you understand the progression of it, not the scientific progression or the medical progression, but the logical progression, you can see how while a doctor doesn't know what to do, we can do things ourselves. So continuing, toxicity enters into the blood. And this is extremely important to understand. When you have a chronic immune activation, you have chronic toxicity in the blood. I'll say it again because it's so important. When you have chronic immune activation, you have chronic toxicity that's entering into the blood. The immune system is the defense system. That means you have an offending agent. When you have an immune activation, you have an offending agent. If it's chronic, that means you have a chronic offending agent. If you have a chronic offending agent, that means something is getting into the body, meaning something is getting into the blood. So the next question is, how do things get into the blood? Well, there's only two ways, primarily. One is through the skin, and if you inject things into the skin, you can activate an immune response. And people who get vaccines or people who are drug abusers, people shooting up crack or meth or heroin, they get immune diseases and autoimmune diseases. But for most people, we're not injecting things in through the blood or in through the skin. For most people. So how else, for most people, do we get things into the blood? Well, let's think. Any ideas, Rebecca? How would things get into the blood?
Through our digestive system.
Exactly. Exactly. When I talk about food and I talk about the digestive system, I'm talking about the intestine. It's not because I'm some Mr. Organic Dudley Do-Right good guy. That's not what this is about. And I point that out because when we hear food and digestion, it triggers something about being kids and our mothers telling us to eat our vegetables. So when people hear don't eat French fries, or they hear take care of your digestive health and avoid problem foods and stay away from gluten, etc., a lot of people hear I'm a child and my mommy's telling me to eat my vegetables. And so it triggers this kind of I'm a good person, I'm a bad person, I'm a good boy, I'm a good girl, I'm a bad boy, I'm a bad girl kind of attitude, and people tune out, which is tragic because food and digestion represent a power point, a leverage point for how we can control our biochemistry, and not scientifically or logically, or not scientifically or medically, but logically. How our ability to manipulate our food and our digestive health represent a major PowerPoint. Now, it's a PowerPoint for everybody, but especially if you're suffering, especially if you're dealing with a horrific autoimmune disease. This poor gal had her body carved up like a Christmas turkey. She's got half a body, and she's 39 years old. And she had a C-section, and she's got a gastric sleeve, and she's 5'6" and weighs 240 pounds, and she's got scleroderma. Her symptoms are screaming digestive health problems. And all somebody had to do was correct her digestive health issues at the beginning, and she would have a functional life. And now she's got half a life, half a body. It's so heartbreaking. When I read this, I wanted to cry when I heard about this poor woman, 39 years old. And the reason I'm saying this here on this call is because we can all tell. People don't know this. This gal is not unusual. She's normal. She's typical. She's been infected by a meme that says I'm going to the doctor when I have pain, and I'm going to do whatever he says, including take out my organs, because she didn't know. But we here on this call, if you understand what I'm saying, we can go out and we can tell people, we can save people like this, women like this, men like this, from the tragedy of spending the rest of their life without half their bodies. How dare a healthcare professional do something like this? Well, it's because they don't know. That's not their skill set. They're doing the best they can. But we here in this call And everybody who is participating in the longevity nutritional supplement program, even not in this call, have a mission. We can go out and explain, just like I explain this here, not in a medical way, not in a scientific way, in a logical way. Toxicity gets into the blood. It initiates an immune reaction in the blood. That immune reaction in the blood ends up getting deposited in the tissues, the soft tissues, the connective tissues, the glands, and an immune response is then initiated against those tissues. So toxicity enters into the bloodstream through a leaky gut. When I say all autoimmune diseases should be backtracked to food, what I'm talking about is leaky and digestion. I'm talking about a leaky gut. The leaky gut is caused by foods that we eat. It's caused by deficiencies in stomach acid. It's caused by hormonal changes, particularly involving estrogen, female hormone. It's no accident that most autoimmune diseases affect women. And it's exacerbated by what's called dysbiosis, problems with gut bacteria, all of which lead to the entrance through this leaky gut of food particles, of immune particles, and of toxicity from bacteria, so-called endotoxins. This is the mechanism of autoimmune disease, and I hope everybody understands it, because the doctors don't. Not because they're dumb and not because they're mean, but because that's not their training. And when I say the doctors, I'm talking collectively and generally. I'm sure there's specific MDs and physicians who do understand this. But collectively, this is not part of the medical dogma. It's not part of the medical understanding that autoimmunity is caused by a leaky gut. Leaky gut is in turn caused by hormonal changes and changes in stomach digestion, as well as dysbiosis, and also, for that matter, bile problems. So this gal also had her gallbladder taken out. So what do you do for scleroderma? The same thing you do for multiple sclerosis, the same thing you do for type 1 diabetes, the same thing you do for lupus, the same thing you do for rheumatoid arthritis, the same thing you do for any autoimmune disease. You focus on digestive health, and that includes food, and that includes stomach digestion, and that includes intestinal digestion. And probably you could throw in the liver and the gallbladder in there too. So for scleroderma, you do, or any autoimmune, I'm using scleroderma as an example, but any autoimmune disease, you work on foods first. Do a food diary, fast before you do a food diary. And by the way, everybody who has an autoimmune disease will notice that when they fast, they feel better, because you stop that stream of toxicity that enters into the bloodstream. But because we've been memetically infected by a virus, by a mind virus, people will notice that they feel better when they don't eat, and they feel worse when they eat, but it won't click that there's a connection between the food and the immune reaction, because we've been infected by a virus. So the first thing you do is you eliminate problem foods, starting with a fast. Now, gluten is definitely a problem. Gluten is one of a class of molecules called lectins, which we've talked about before. Lectins are plant defense molecules. Plants make defense molecules, just like any other organism that's alive. Plants don't want to die, so they protect themselves with chemicals, molecules, that will punish the eater of that plant. So that, theoretically anyway, the eater won't eat that plant anymore. Well, it turns out that we humans don't pay much attention, and we eat anyway. And so there's many foods that are associated with inflammatory reactions. And by the way, inflammation is the calling card of the immune system. Inflammation is how the immune system shows up. So when I say inflammation, it's essentially a synonym for the immune system. So lectins and gluten are definitely involved, but, and this is really important, it's not just lectins and it's not just gluten that can be a problem. We talked about FODMAPs, fermentable oligo, di, and mono and saccharides and polyols. These are fibrous, sugary material, fibrous sugars and polysaccharides that can actually initiate or activate proliferation of bacteria. in the small intestine, this condition called SIBO, which is one of the causes of leaky gut. So you may think you're gluten-free or you're avoiding lectins, but you could be eating avocados, or you could be eating pears, or you could be eating okra or artichokes or other high FODMAPs foods, and you could be causing proliferation of bacteria, and you could be causing leaky gut and the entrance of toxins into the blood, and you're gluten-free. And you're lectin-free. Say, oh, I just eat organic. Oh, I'm just a vegetarian. Oh, I only eat salads all day. So in other words, it's not just gluten, it's not just lectins. That's why you have to do a food diary. You could have a reaction to lettuce. You can have a reaction to grapes. You can have a reaction to berries. You can have a reaction to anything. So that's why it's important to do a food diary. And if you fast before you do the food diary, you will notice things more dramatically and profoundly. The brain only notices things that happen once in a while. If something happens every day, you don't notice it. But if you take a couple of days or one day off from food, and then you start eating oatmeal or okra or avocados or whatever it is you're eating, and then you bloat and you have gassiness or your pain gets worse, you'll be able to connect that food to that symptom in a way that you couldn't if you were eating it every day. Taking a day off from food makes symptoms more dramatic. So a lot of times patients don't want to fast, but it's a good idea for them to fast. Number one, to give their body a break, their immune system a break, to give their digestive system a break, and also to make it more noticeable when they eat a food after they start fasting. So, or after they stop fasting, when they start eating again. So fasting helps. Then do a food diary and start eliminating problem foods. Obviously, gluten and lectins are big problems, but it could be anything. Then you work on digestive support. I said earlier how SIBO and leaky gut can be the end result of poor digestive processing, especially low stomach acid. So one of the roles of stomach acid is to kill bacteria. So SIBO, which is the major reason for leaky gut, can be the end result of low stomach acid resulting in bacterial proliferation. So using stomach acid supplements. We have an awesome stomach acid supplement that's in my opinion, one of the most important, one of the most multifunctional, and one of the most inexpensive of all of our formulations, and that's the Ultimate Enzymes. Everybody who has scleroderma or any autoimmune disease should be on the Ultimate Enzymes. And I know, do we still have the no? I haven't seen Noni for a while. I hope we didn't stop carrying.
No.
I'm sorry we stopped carrying that.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's too bad because I always tell people to use a little noni juice with their Ultimate Enzymes, but we stopped carrying that, I think, a couple of years ago. The noni juice. So use something like apple cider vinegar, aloe vera with your Ultimate Enzymes. Now, there is acid in the Ultimate Enzymes in the form of betaine HCl, but it wouldn't hurt you to have a little bit of something acidic that you drink with your Ultimate Enzymes. Then you move on to the intestine. And by the way, the Ultimate Enzymes also have bile salts in them, which also have antibacterial properties. In addition, stomach acid, bile kills bacteria. Then you move on to the intestine. Obviously, the nightly essence is important. The ultimate microbiome is important. And the I-26, which is specifically formulated to kill bacteria in the small intestine. I-26 is your SIBO treatment, your nutritional SIBO treatment, because SIBO is the major cause of leaky gut. The I-26 can improve leaky gut, thereby improving inflammatory and immune reactions that are secondary to things getting into the bloodstream through intestinal permeability. So I-26. Now, with the nightly essence and with the ultimate microbiome, you got to start carefully, because if you already have SIBO, you can the bacteria in the fiber may cause the probiotics in the fiber may cause the bacteria in the intestine to proliferate, and some people will notice that their symptoms get worse when they start using probiotics or fiber. So you got to do it a little bit carefully. The ultimate microbiome and the nightly essence are good, but you got to start off a little bit carefully, and you got to have your patient watch out for symptomology after they take those two supplements. Fermented food is the same way, and that can also be helpful. Another very important nutritional supplement for improving intestinal barrier health are collagen peptides. And Longevity's got a great collagen peptide formulation. And like with all nutritional supplements, when you take our collagen peptides for your intestine, you're going to get benefits for your joints, and you're going to get benefits for your blood vessels, and you're going to get benefits for your bones, and you're going to get benefits for your skin, and you're going to get benefits for any tissue in the body that has collagen in it, which is one of the cool things about nutritional supplementation. But as far as the intestine goes, collagen peptides can help strengthen the intestinal lining to prevent leaky gut. So you have food diary or fasting, food diary, digestive support starting with the stomach, as well as the gallbladder, and then also intestinal support. That's how you deal with leaky gut, or SIBO, leaky gut causing autoimmune diseases. Now, one more thing I'll say, and this kind of maybe a little bit confusing, but it's important, and that is if you're not clearing out estrogen appropriately through your bowels, and estrogen is cleared out through the bowels, it's also detoxified in the liver, estrogen can build up, and estrogen is one of the causes of intestinal permeability, estrogen in the intestine. So using your ultimate EFAs to help balance out your estrogen, and believe it or not, working with blood sugar, one of the most important causes of hormone problems, whether it's in women, whether it's estrogen dominance or estrogenic cancers or reproductive issues or menstrual issues, or in men, whether it's lower testosterone levels or elevated estrogen levels in men. Obviously, both of those situations are problems for guys. The most important control point for hormone problems, steroid hormone problems in men and women is insulin and blood sugar. Yeah, last week we talked about metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is caused by insulin resistance. It's a synonym for insulin resistance syndrome, metabolic syndrome. Over time, without getting into too much detail, over time, cells become unresponsive to insulin. Cells becoming unresponsive to insulin result in, number one, blood sugar getting higher, hyperglycemia, and blood sugar elevations are associated with all kinds of problems because of the reaction that sugar has with protein, including kidney disease, by the way. And elevated insulin and insulin resistance also are major disturbers of steroid hormone behavior. Testosterone and estrogen primarily, also to a certain extent thyroid hormone, but that's not a steroid hormone. So if you have estrogen problems in your woman, and that includes fibroids and cysts and PCOS and problem menstrual cycles and endometriosis and fibromyalgia and autoimmunity and leaky gut, insulin resistance or working with insulin and blood sugar is very important. Likewise, if you're a man and you're noticing that you're becoming more feminized and your testosterone levels are low, insulin resistance. And this is why hormone replacement therapy is not the solution for women who are having estrogen issues or men who are having testosterone issues. If you work on your sugar and your insulin resistance, you'll get much better results with no toxicity than you would if you took hormone replacement therapy, which is toxic and also doesn't work very well, and sometimes doesn't work at all. Okay, so that's scleroderma, but it really applies, and everybody should know, to all autoimmune diseases. If you go to the doctor, you're going to get a steroid, period, or a biologic, both of which are immune suppressants. That's the only thing the medical model can do, is suppress the immune system. But again, not medical, not scientific, but logic tells you if your immune system is active, you have a defensive response. If you have a defensive response that you want to end, you got to find the offending agent. The offending agent is either going to be injected or eaten, which simplifies everything. And it makes it non-medical, and it makes it non-scientific. Well, it's scientific, but it's not complicated scientific. It is scientific, though. It's logical, and it's scientific in the sense that it's logical. So you don't have to have a medical degree to understand any of this. You just have to be logical in the sense that you understand that the foot bone's connected to the ankle bone's connected to the leg bone. It's all connected. It's all working together. So you get stuff in the intestine, it's going to end up in your connective tissue or your spleen or your pancreas or your joints or your pancreas or your thyroid or any other system of the body. So that's autoimmunity, that's scleroderma, that's memes. Don't be infected by memes. Good information inoculates us from viral memes that don't care about us, that just want to proliferate. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the BTT, because we said we were going to talk about beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Well, before you move on,
Yes.
You know what? We've got a lot of questions.
Yes.
So maybe we can save that for next time.
Okay.
But let's get a.
Yes,
okay,
let's try and get as many questions, because we always run out of time with the questions.
We do.
Okay.
But first, I'd like to teach the world to thrive in holistic harmony. In homes and communities around the world, together we will thrive. There you go.
Thank you. Did somebody make you do that?
No, it was funny because our pre setup, we were talking about little things, and I sang a couple little things, and then here it went into this, and I'm like, oh, that must have been a premonition of some sort.
Okay.
But we'll work on that. So lots of information, folks. And if you are on a platform, especially like on Facebook, where you can share this program, please share it. There are so many people that are affected by all of these different things that Ben has mentioned today, all these different symptoms, and they don't have to be. So use that share option. Share, 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 share. And I know on YouTube, you can capture the link, you can share it with different people. You can even put it on your different social media platforms to share it through your channels. We encourage you to just be part of the solution instead of continuing to feed the problem. And a lot of the information that was just shared by pharmacist Benjamin Fuchs is a huge solution, and it's simple. We can do it all on our own.
Yes.
All on our own. Now, you had mentioned about estrogen building up, not being eliminated. It's through our bowels. So if you've got constipation.
Yes, and estrogen is pro-constipation too. So you get a vicious downward spiral. So what do you do if you have what do you do if you have constipation? Is that what you're going to ask?
Well, no, I was going to say, for those of you who don't know about or what constipation is, pharmacist Ben is going to tell us.
If you don't know what constipation is, that's a good thing, because you don't want to ever have constipation. It's pretty darn miserable. The thing about constipation is when your bowels are clogged up, because we don't talk to each other about our bowel movements, sometimes people don't realize that they're constipated. Sometimes people don't know. There's a lot of people who think if you just eliminate every 2 or 3 days, that's normal. So, and then on the other hand, there is really no normal. It's normal for each individual. So what you want to look for is changes in your bowel habits, like when they're different, or obviously discomfort. If you are manifesting the signs of estrogen dominance, which include, as I said, problems with the thyroid hormone, menstrual problems, reproductive problems, including infertility, PCOS, which is cysts on the ovaries. We should probably talk about PCOS one of these days too, by the way, Rebecca. Fibroids or cysts. These are all signs of estrogen, excess estrogen. Without getting into too much complication, estrogen is supposed to be processed in the liver and then cleared out in the bowels. So processed by the liver and then cleared out in the bowels. However, if you have fatty liver disease or secondary metabolic syndrome, you may not be clearing out, you may not be detoxifying estrogen effectively. And then if you're constipated, and estrogen can cause constipation, or if you're hypothyroid, which can be related to estrogen, that can cause constipation. If you're eating the wrong foods, that can cause constipation. That's going to cause estrogen to build up. Interestingly, there are bacteria in the intestine that will actually reactivate estrogen after it's been detoxified by the liver. So the estrogen can get reactivated by bacteria. This is, especially if you have the SIBO condition, and that can cause toxic estrogen to build up. So helping your body eliminate estrogen through bowels is really important. There's lots of ways to do that. Fiber obviously will help improve elimination, although you have to be a little bit careful with that if you have SIBO. Magnesium, the osteomag, is a great laxative. In fact, magnesium is one of the laxatives that pharmacists recommend, citrate of magnesia. If there's actually little green bottles that you buy in the pharmacy, same stuff that's in osteomag. So you can use osteomag as a laxative. Beyond Tangy Tangerine can sometimes act like a laxative. Vitamin C in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, as well as in the CFX, have laxative properties. And then, of course, the herbal rainforest is an awesome laxative. So anybody who's dealing with estrogen dominance, and all the symptoms that we just talked about for estrogen dominance, including estrogenic cancers, by the way, should focus on improving bowel elimination with all the laxatives that we just talked about, plus better food choices. The intestine will become paralyzed under conditions of toxicity. So, and when I say paralyzed, I don't mean that literally paralyzed, but it'll become sluggish if we're eating the wrong food. So better food choices can also improve bowel movements. Veggie juices are another great way to improve bowel movements, but with the fiber, like with a Vitamix or with a NutriBullet, not with a juicer where you lose the fiber.
So you want to keep it all.
Yes,
the
fiber and the vegetable juices are important for bowel elimination.
All right.
Okay. What else?
More great information, Pharmacist Ben. So let's go ahead. Yes, we have more questions. Let's go ahead and go to the first hand that is up, and that is Mark.
Sorry, I'm losing you there.
Oh, let me see. Can you see me still? I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting out on my end. I don't know if that's me.
How am I for everybody else? Do I get a thumbs up? I got a thumbs up from AJ. So
okay,
let's go ahead and Mark has a question for you today. So
how are you, Ben?
Hello, Mark.
I've been watching all your videos about triangle of disease. I've been studying a lot of you, man. So
Mark,
I appreciate
my Argentinian friend, right?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, I have it. It kind of relates to everything we talked about today. So I've been still having a lot of hair loss, and also I've been having constipation, as you said. I'm doing everything that you say about digestive system, blood sugar, adrenal, thyroid system, trying to do everything. And
have you tried to fast yet? Number one.
I kind of every day I intermittent fast. So do like
you want to give yourself 24 hours. What will happen is when you stop eating, hopefully, any foods that are causing constipation, you won't be eating. So that'll should improve constipation. Plus, I forgot to mention this when we talked about constipation. There are electrical pulses that are sent through the digestive tract that propel food through and out the body. These electrical pulses are connected to muscles, and the muscles contract, and it pushes food out the body, down the digestive tract and out the body. These electrical pulses are referred to as the migrating motor complex, the MMC. This migrating motor complex, which propels food, has the effect of propelling food out of through the digestive tract and out the body, is activated when we do not eat. And it's deactivated by food. So if you're eating regularly, it may be that this MMC, this migrating motor complex, is chronically being deactivated. You can actually hear, I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating, you can actually hear the migrating motor complex when you stop eating. You can hear it. It sounds like a rumbling in your tummy. That rumbling in your tummy, which most of us think of as, oh, I'm hungry, I better be eating, is actually the MMC being activated. And the worst thing you could do if you're constipated, when you hear that rumbling in your tummy, is eat. Because then you just shut it off. When you hear the rumbling in your tummy, stick with it, let it be. And what's happening is the food is being propelled out through the body. Now, I'm not saying that's the cause, but it may be. Now, if you're losing your hair, you have hair loss, and you're also dealing with digestive issues, two things come to mind. Number one, it could be estrogen. It could be that you're not clearing out estrogen appropriately, or you're making estrogen, in which case, and the only way to know that for sure is probably to have a blood test of some kind, but it could be, that could be the case. And there's many reasons why estrogen builds up, particularly what are called xenoestrogens in the water and in skincare products and in medications and in foods. That's one way that men get estrogen. But another thing that can happen is you could be relatively high in estrogen compared to testosterone. Your testosterone, because estrogen and testosterone are balancing, they antagonize each other. When your estrogen level, when your testosterone levels drop, your estrogen levels become relatively higher. See what I'm doing here? It might not be that you have too much estrogen, but it may be too much relative to your testosterone. The main reason for testosterone problems involve blood sugar, especially in young guys. So focus on the blood sugar and insulin resistance, especially if you're a sugar eater, you like breads and pastas and the sugary kinds of foods. If those are foods that you're eating, that could be a problem too. So focus on blood sugar health. But you're a young guy. You're not even 22 or 23, I think, right? 24?
Yeah, I'm 21, but I'm not eating pasta at all. I'm caring a lot about the blood sugar. I'm taking the sweeties.
How is have you been focused? Have you had your blood sugar checked? Are you noticing any symptoms of elevated blood sugar? Belly fat? Noticing any weight gain around your belly or anything like that?
No.
Any changes in muscle mass or anything like that?
No, I'm always super lean on muscle mass.
Are you
It's like I'm super thin.
Are you doing anything to build testosterone? You shouldn't be at 21. You should not have testosterone issues. There's the two most important reasons for hair loss involve hormone health, especially testosterone, also thyroid hormone, which involves estrogen, and also oxidation in the follicles. Oxidation in the follicles, which is a measurement of toxicity or a sign of toxicity, a metric of toxicity, can also cause hair loss. So if you're dealing with any kind of toxicity issues, and I don't know the answer to that, but that usually comes in from food also. And then the fact that you're constipated also implies food. So I would be looking to me, based on everything you're saying, it sounds like a food issue. Do you notice?
Okay, I'm even doing the FODMAPs.
Why are you doing the FODMAPs?
I'm doing low FODMAPs diet.
Why are you doing low FODMAPs?
Just to kind of know if I have a digestive problem with food.
Do you feel better on low FODMAPs?
I feel good.
Do you feel better? Do you feel no difference?
No, probably no difference. No.
Go eat a bunch of FODMAPs foods and see what happens.
Okay.
Go eat a bunch of FODMAPs because the two main reasons are toxicity, oxidation, acid is another sign of toxicity is acids, and oxidation reactions in the follicles. That's number one. And I say they're two different reasons, but they overlap. And then estrogen and testosterone and thyroid hormone. Those are the main reasons.
And all involves like constipation, estrogen.
Yeah. The one thing that tells me that you may be having some kind of toxicity issue is your constipation, your constipation problem. However, look for other symptoms. I know I said this before, but I'll say it again. If you have a painting and you have a dot in the middle of the painting, you don't know. That's just a dot.
Yeah.
But if you put a couple more dots, you could see a river, you could see an ocean, you could see a mountain, you could see a tree. You've got to triangulate. You have to have multiple symptoms so you can form a picture. Right now, you've got a pretty good symptom. Constipation is a pretty good symptom, but I want to find a couple more. Hair loss.
And I also have cold feet.
Oh, there you go. That's another issue. That's a circulatory issue, and that also implies blood toxicity. If you have cold feet, it could also be a thyroid issue, which could affect the hair. So there's a few things. So come up with a few symptoms and put together a picture. Cold feet is definitely a symptom. Digestive or constipation is another symptom. And we're starting to get a picture. You understand? If
Got
you
it.
come up with
Yeah,
1 or 2 more points, that would be very helpful.
got it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very, very good. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Ben.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And let's go right over to Anna. And I do have a hard stop today, folks, as I will be going to Mississippi, where we have an event going on
Are
tomorrow.
you going to see Rebecca? Becca, are you going to see?
Yes.
Are you going to see what's that gal's name in Mississippi that had the
Lorraine Williamson?
Lorraine. Yeah, you're going to go see Lorraine?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell her I said hello.
Yes, I will. Hello, Anna.
Hello.
Hi, Anna.
Hello, how are you? Nice to see you and to hear you, Dr.
Nice to
Fuchs,
see you.
here from Argentina.
Oh,
Also.
another Argentine. Do you know Mark?
He's my son.
I was
Oh,
gonna say,
Mark's
they
your
have
son.
the they
Okay.
have the same painting in the background.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
He sent me in this magnificent branch of the Longevity. He knows everything and he teaches
Mark
to
is
me.
good. Mark's smart.
Yes,
You
very,
did a good
very,
job,
very
Anna. You did a good
incredibly
job.
smart. Yes,
Bueno job.
yes.
Bueno
Thank
trabajo. Yes.
You speak in Spanish. Okay. One point, my most important point is that I am taking atenolol since many years, 10 years.
For blood pressure, for your blood pressure, for your heart, why are you taking it?
No, because doctor in the 2009 told me I have palpitations and
Okay.
I have a complete block of the left branch of my heart, and I am taking this every day. And I heard that this atenolol could pacify the heart, but it could damage my heart. So what can I do? I don't
What
want
do you
to.
do? Well, that's a great
Yes.
question, because you see, if you have a heart blockage, that could be due to a lot of things, but mostly it's blood toxicity. That's mostly what it is. It could also be weakness in the blood vessels. When you have weakness in the blood vessels, the body will stick cholesterol and calcium in the weakness, or the weak part of the blood vessel, like a Band-Aid. You know what a Band-Aid is? Do you know what that is, a Band-Aid? Like a patch.
Band-Aid.
Like
Yes,
a patch.
yes, yes. Yes.
The body will put that calcium and cholesterol to patch up weaknesses, and that can cause a blockage. But here's the point. Atenolol, which is a beta blocker drug, does not solve the problem. You still have the clogged arteries, if that's what it is. You still have the problem, but you've artificially poisoned the heart. Literally, it's a beta blocker, poisons the heart, so it's slow. Now, I don't know if this happens to you, but a lot of people become tired on atenolol or on these beta blocker drugs. A lot of people have fatigue issues. A lot of people have issues with circulation because everything's slowing down. This is not a solution to the problem. The real solution to the problem is going to involve the triangle of disease. And if you want to simplify the triangle of disease, it'll be the 2 points: digestion, blood sugar, and the adrenal thyroid complex. But if you want to simplify it, we'll just say digestion and blood sugar. Get on the healthy blood sugar pack and work on get on the healthy blood sugar pack. Or actually, you know what? You might want to get on the healthy brain and heart pack, and then throw in the sweeties. Get the healthy brain and heart pack, and then throw in the sweeties and the ultimate niacin.
Yes, I have it.
Okay, so stay.
The ultimate night, yes,
that.
but the Swedish not. I will
They
buy
throw the
this
sweeties.
one.
Have they said anything to you about pre-diabetes or diabetes or any issues with blood sugar? Have you heard about anything like that for you?
No, I don't have diabetes, no blood in the sugar. All my tests in the laboratory, everything's okay. But I don't want to take atenolol. I don't
blame you.
No more.
I don't blame you. It's not a good drug. It's not a good drug. Yeah, it's a beta blocker. You know, the beta blocker drugs, which atenolol is one of them, propranolol, metoprolol, there's a few beta blocker drugs. These beta blocker drugs, as the name implies, block electricity. The beta system is an electrical system. So they block electricity to the heart. The logic is, if your heart is palpitating, we'll slow it down. But that doesn't make any sense from a logic standpoint. Why would you want to slow your heart down? Why would you poison your heart? This makes medical sense because to a doctor, oh, we have an emergency, we're going to stop the heart, we're going to slow the heart. But to a person, does that make sense? Just like it's just as stupid as suppressing the immune system with an immune drug. But that's not how, it's not that the doctors are stupid. It's that their goal is to take care of the emergency. Forget your quality of life, forget your longevity, forget further health issues. That's not their worry. Their worry is to take care of the palpitations right now. And beta blockers do that because they're slowing down the heart. But at what cost? So
sorry, at that time I appeared in the emergency. I came from Santiago, Chile to Buenos Aires. Yes, it was an emergency. And then all the years I asked, I continue at an yes, you continue.
Yes, that's the problem. Instead of solving the issue, they give you the drug because it solves a problem and you stay on it. And in the long run, you know, you're obviously it's a poison your heart. It's not going to be good for your heart or any other part of the nervous system because there's beta nerves in other parts of the nervous system. So I'd be treating myself like a diabetic even if you've not been diagnosed. Get on the healthy brain and heart pack and throw in the sweeties and the ultimate niacin, both of which are very important for blood sugar. And then also you might want to throw in the ultimate selenium, although I think that might be in the healthy brain and heart pack. If it's that's in the healthy brain and heart pack. Then the first point on the triangle of disease is the intestine and the digestive system. So work on digestive functioning. Now, you probably, I'm guessing you're in your 40s or 50s, right? Not going to get somewhere in there. It's very difficult to be in Argentina or to be in the United States for that matter, or any country in the West, and not have some degree of digestive compromise by the time you're 40 or 50, because just how the food is. So focus on digestive health issues. If there's not anything that you notice, like dramatic, that you notice, do a food diary and see if you can find things. Fast for a couple of days and do a food diary and see if you can find things. Remember, we don't notice things that happen all the time. If something happens every day, the brain doesn't notice it. The brain only cares about things that happen once in a while. If it happens every day, the brain says, oh, that's not a big deal. You understand what I'm saying? So if you fast and then start eating again, you'll notice things. So I would be doing a fast and seeing if you notice some digestive health issues. Something's going on because your heart should not be palpitating and you shouldn't have blockages. The last thing I would tell you is practice slow, deep breathing. Go online, look for YouTube, and get Wimhoff, W-I-M-H-O-F-F, Wimhoff breathing, and start practicing and doing breathing exercises every day. Palpitations and blockages are both signs of hypoxia or low oxygen, low blood oxygen. Both of those, okay? Tenormin or atenolol, the beta blocker you're taking, is going to make the problem worse if there is hypoxia, if there is low blood oxygen, because it's going to slow everything down. So start doing some breathing exercises. Healthy brain and heart pack, throw in the ultimate niacin, throw in the ultimate selenium, and then also the sweeties. And then work on digestive health, and then practice your breathing exercises. And give it a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then come back. I want to know how you're doing.
Okay, great.
Okay, Anna? Thank you.
You're great. The best.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And folks,
before we go, I know you have to go, and I have to go too, Becca. But I just want to say something. One of the greatest things people tell me when I talk to people is they feel more hopeful after they hear these ideas. See, the doctors are saying, this is it. You're going to be on this medicine the rest of your life. There's nothing we could do. We don't know why it's happening. There's no known cause. Your father had it. Your mother had it. It's in your genetics. There's this hopelessness that's associated with medical treatment, especially when it comes to autoimmunity or when it comes to what they call progressive or chronic degenerative issues. They say that's just the nature of it. It's just going to happen. So when I talk to people and they say, oh, you give me hope, to me, that's the greatest compliment I can have. And that's what we can give everybody on this call who understood what I just said to Anna or Mark or understood the mechanism of autoimmunity. If you understood that, you are now able to inspire people, to give them hope, to give them this idea that there is a solution, that it's not unknown, that it's not idiopathic, which means unknown, that it's not genetic, that it's not because my mother had it and my father had it, so I'm going to have it. It's in my genes. So go out and understand that if you know what if it makes sense what we just talked about, that puts you at the tip of the spear. We are at the leading edge. We can inspire people. We can give them hope. And there's no greater gift you can give a person who is sick or somebody who has a loved one who is sick than inspiration and hope that they can make their lives better.
So I've got people here saying preach it. I've got people over here saying preach it. And hey, folks, you can be the hope to somebody else. So join us in this crusade. I'd like to teach the world to thrive in holistic harmony in homes and communities around the world. Together we are hope. So be the hope for somebody else today, everybody. You can find out more information about our Holistic Health Coach course by going to coachwithbecca.com. You have been watching Daily with Doc. I want to do a shout out because I see that Dr. Wallach is on with us listening. He loves to hear how others are taking this message and that he started and spreading it throughout the world. Thank you, Dr. Wallach, and thank you to our YouTube family, our Twitter family, our Facebook family, our Zoom family, family, whether it's by blood or choice, you belong. And you're right here listening to this program for a reason. So jump on, take some action, give back with the person that shared this program with you. If there's no one to thank, go ahead and give us a call. I have a team standing by at 855-949-3377. But especially if somebody shared this video, whether you're live or replay, get back with them and thank them for giving you a light of hope of what you can do as an empowered individual, folks. We are empowered. Don't let anybody take that power away from you, because what we put in our mouth affects the whole entire body, and we can make choices. Pharmacist Ben, fabulous job. I'm excited because this is just the beginning of another rest of the year. So thank you, Ben. And I want to thank our team.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, AJ, for helping and getting all of this streamed out on the different platforms and keeping it running smooth. Phyllis, she's out on those platforms, sharing information, bringing in questions. I know we didn't get to all the questions today. Reach out to us by going to questions@dailywithdoc.com if it's questions. If you want more information, reach us at info@dailywithdoc.com. We'll make sure that we keep an eye on both of those so that we get answers to people right away. And thank you, Albert, joining us from South Africa with his buddy Marty there, letting people in. And Marilyn with her fingers and putting the information that's being transcribed, dictated, whatever you want to use, into the chat. Folks, thank you for joining us. You have just invested an hour and 6 minutes into your life that can make a change for the rest of your life on a path to thrive. My name is Becca Dukes. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.
Record.